Remember, hey, you guys remember cancel culture? Oh my God, cancel culture, it's the worst. You know, how, the Major League Baseball canceled Atlanta, Georgia. You can't buy 6 racially insensitive Dr. Seuss books anymore. You can buy all the rest, but that doesn't mean anything. Seuss has been canceled. The Grinch is gone, even though you can still buy it and watch it. It's still there, and they're going to make another version of it eventually. And, don't get me started on Green Eggs and Ham, which, of course, you're obviously going to still be able to purchase, and nobody has any plans to get rid of. The important thing is cancel culture is the worst. And that the idea that you would boycott things is just hideous.
Root causes, and I'm looking forward to traveling. Hopefully, it's my first trip to the Northern Triangle, stopping in Mexico and then going to Guatemala. We have plans in the work to go to Guatemala as soon as possible.
Oh, God, look how disgusted they are. She's going to go to Guatemala? What's she going to do down there? Is Kamala Harris going to Guatemala just to pick up some more unaccompanied minors to bring back with her? Bet she's driving a bus.
Well, that was Vice President Kamala Harris earlier today announcing that she will be traveling south of the border, but no word on when she's actually traveling to our border to see the situation down there firsthand, which is so important.
Is it so important? There's another T.
Republicans today taking a dig at her with Congressman Steve Scalise holding a milk carton with her.
So funny. And it's nice because you can see how they had staff print that out and glue it to the side. And they had to print it 4 times before it would fit. And then they used a glue pen. It was hilarious in The Office. It was like an episode of The Office.
Photo saying she's missing on the border. Well,
missing at the border.
Joining us now to discuss the administration's handling or not handling of the crisis is Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan. Congressman, welcome back.
And welcome back to this weird wall of mini flags.
Good to be with you, Lindsay.
Did you just had somebody move that in behind you for this interview? Is that what you're doing now? Because everybody was making fun of your desk?
All right, I have a 2-part question for you, so bear with me. She announces she's going to Guatemala, to Mexico, before our border. Is this a mistake? And then second, she says she's going to find the root cause here. But we already know what the root...
Sean Spicer loves this. Obviously, the root cause of all of our problems at the border is Sean Spicer's dancing.
Root cause is the administration invited them to our country. I mean, she's missing the point, it feels like.
Yeah, they totally invited them by saying the border's not open. El border is not open.
The root cause is, you're exactly right, Lindsay. Joe Biden announced we weren't going to finish the wall, that we weren't going to do any deportation. He put a moratorium on deportation. But most importantly, he undid this Remain in Mexico policy, the MPP program.
By the way, they didn't do a moratorium on deportations. If you come in, and most of the people are going right back. What they meant is going into the country and digging people up and going after them as far as ICE and its activities.
Which every single agent, we were down there last week, as you know, every single agent said that policy change in and of itself is the reason that there is this chaos and this crisis on the border. So why doesn't the vice president go to Texas before she goes to the Northern Triangle? Why does
because she's got good intel and she already knows what's happening at the border. Going down there and seeing it and standing there for a photo op doesn't necessarily do anything. She's not going to go down there and go, oh my God, I had no idea. She has an idea. They have an idea. They know what the problem is. It's administrative. If you have a sales issue, going to the factory floor, to use their corporate analogies, what they like, and meeting people on the line isn't going to change the sales issue, whether things are going in or going out quickly enough. It isn't.
Why does she go to Texas before she goes to Mexico? Why won't she go to the border? Why won't the president go to the border? The reason is they don't...
Where do you think these people are coming from? Are they all coming from Mexico? Are these all Mexicans? Or are the vast majority of them from Guatemala?
I don't want the American people to fully understand the gravity of this situation and the fact that they caused it. Their policy change... If you're going to get...
So the American public isn't fully understanding the gravity of this situation? Is it because it's becoming less grave by the day?
Get rid of the Trump policies that worked. What are you going to replace them with? Because they haven't replaced them with anything other than we're just going to process this flood of individuals who are coming across our country and these kids who are going through all kinds of turmoil.
Yeah, as opposed to what? Leaving them in Mexico alone? Or leaving them in the desert when you find them? That 11-year-old that they found in the desert, they put him back with his mom. They went back to Guatemala. That's what happened.
That is not a policy. That is just, as we've said many times, that is chaos. That is a crisis.
Well, and Congressman, to Lindsay's point, she's gonna fly down there. She's gonna go to Guatemala to find out the root cause, and they're gonna go. The root cause is you invited them.
Yeah.
No. The root cause is there's a normal influx, and then Trump said you guys have to wait in Mexico to have your claims processed, and so those people did for the better part of 2 years. And they've been setting up tent cities all along the border, and then those people started getting their claims processed. They started coming across going, obviously the old guy's gone, so we'll come in with the new guy and see if we can get our claims processed, because we're actually legit asylum seekers. And then we're going, and the United States is going, 80% of you aren't, buy, and 20% of you will get processed.
Yeah, no, exactly. When you announce to the world, come on in, we're not going to have a wall. When we get there, we're going to process you within 8 hours. If you come in with a family and you got a child under 6, within 8 hours, you are put on a bus, put on a plane, and sent somewhere in this country. Somewhere.
That's not true at all. You're not sent somewhere in the country. A lot of times you're sent somewhere outside this country, namely back to where you're from.
We're all over the United States. So that we saw that facility. And by the way, it's interesting, the date that facility, they put this temporary facility up, January 23rd, 2021, 3 days into the Biden administration, the world already knew what Biden was advertising, come on in. And so 3 days into the administration.
The world knew. I see. So you're really concerned about people overstaying their visas and that people coming down from Canada or through Canada from Iran, that's the concern point? Or is it really just the southern border, which Trump stacked up and ignored?
The administration, they set up this facility to quickly and fastly process individuals and process families.
So they did. So 3 days in, they recognized that they were going to need facilities to process these folks.
Like I said, within 8 hours, they're put on a bus or put on a plane and sent somewhere across our country.
No, they're not. Someone is not in 8 hours. I mean, the whole argument is that these kids are staying in these places much longer. Entire families that come across, unless they've got a legit asylum claim, they just get punted right back.
Yeah, that's nice. I want to switch gears for a second. You sit on the House Judiciary Committee. You guys voted on a bill today that establishes a commission to look at reparations for descendants of slaves in this country.
Oh, my God. Is there anything more frightening for these three people?
Tell us about what went down, your stance on the legislation, and where this is headed.
No, great thing. We're actually going to deal with that here late tonight. We're still walking through this markup, Sean. But yeah, that's scheduled to happen soon. That bill establishes a 15-member commission to look at reparations. Now, interesting. Here's who makes up the commission. Speaker Pelosi appoints 3, Senator Leahy appoints 3, and President Biden appoints 3. And then the other 6 have to come from organizations that support reparations. So wonder what their conclusion's going to be. They're going to take money from people who were never involved in the evil of slavery and give it to people who were never a part of the evil of slavery.
I have a feeling that Jim Jordan is jealous that he was never a part of.
Makes absolutely no sense.
It makes, I mean, a commission makes a tremendous amount of sense. Whatever the commission comes forward on, it's still going to have to go through the Judiciary Committee, which is not made up of people that are half chosen by the Biden administration and half chosen by NGOs.
But again, this is just how radical the left is today. Understand, the last 6 weeks in the House, they have passed radical legislation that would dramatically change election law, that would dramatically change gun law, that would dramatically change immigration law, that would dramatically change police law.
I'm starting to get excited.
That would make D.C. a state, and now
that also fun.
This law, which would give reparations, all that's coming through the House. And as your previous guest, my colleague and friend, Mr. Comer, said, let's hope Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema keep their word to their constituents and don't change the filibuster.
Well, why would all those things be stopped by the filibuster? What are the primary problems that you would have that would require a filibuster to stop them? How popular are some of those things, if not all, with your constituents? Because I'm going to guess it's somewhere in the area of 60-40 against, but that 40%, it's not lockstep zero that the way the Republicans are going to vote on it.
Sure. Congressman, I want to switch gears here for you a minute. Talking about liberal agendas, we have seen cancel culture at its best lately.
Yeah, tell us about that, man. Major League Baseball, don't get me started.
With large corporations, the MLB obviously canceling the All-Star game out of Georgia.
Jesus Christ. Cancel culture.
Because of Georgia's voting laws. You know,
Yeah, because of that.
oftentimes people on the right, conservatives, say, okay, we're not going to play the boycott game. We don't do that like the left. But at what point is the...
Yeah, at what point do we recognize that it's a functionally useful strategic way of dealing with a problem and start participating in it and stop saying that anybody who participates in it is some sort of commie?
right point to engage? Because if Republicans...
And I think you're right. I think she did mean to say cancel culture at its worst.
Republicans don't boycott the MLB, then it feels like there's no consequences for them. So
Well, I mean, there's obviously consequences for people who live in Riffle, Colorado.
where is the line here ultimately?
Well, maybe it is time for that. I've seen some good conservative folks that I have a lot of respect for write columns about maybe it's time we actually do boycott some of these corporations.
Please do. Yeah, don't show up. That would be the first way to do it. Like, I recommend that anybody, especially deep-seated Trump and, Trumpsters and maggots, I recommend you guys boycott almost everything. Strip malls, airplanes, anywhere that required a mask at any time during the pandemic. Don't go there ever again. Concert venues, sporting events. Just understand that, any NCAA game, like I know I'm looking forward to the empty seats next to me for the elbow room. But I mean, I think it's best. I think you guys should crank up that boycott machine and just stay home yelling at the television, or in this case, at your laptop.
But I think we need to understand the big picture. The left controls everything. The left controls.
Oh, good. Congratulations, guys. Apparently, we control everything. Everything. So the next time you start bitching about chemtrails controlling the weather, yeah.
Controls big media. The left controls big tech. The left controls.
They control big media, big tech. Don't say the left controls big media and big tech to people who are on on Newsmax, which is not big tech and is not big media. That's rude. Jim, you're in their house and you're telling them that they're not big tech on their YouTube channel. They're not big media. They're shit media.
Controls big government. The left controls big sports. The left
the left controls big government? How much was the Trump military spending? What was the deficit?
Controls Hollywood. The left controls higher education. But
the left controls Hollywood and higher education. Well, I mean, we do now, as far as Hollywood, now that, people like Weinstein have gone to jail. Now we're kind of controlling it. There's an argument that his behavior's quite right-wing.
But the one entity the left doesn't control.
Oh, what is it? Vending machines. Tile manufacturing. Big and tall shops. What is it? Oh, God, what's the one thing? I got to take it over. I know we got to take it over, guys.
State government.
State government. That was my next guess. Yeah.
And that's where we really have to push back. And there's no finer example of that than what Governor DeSantis and the legislature in Florida are doing, pushing back on passport vaccines and
passport vaccines? Wait, my passport now needs a shot? Shit.
All this other vaccine passport, all this different
yeah, okay. Both?
Things they're doing, standing up to big tech in our state.
Yeah, DeSantis is totally standing up to big tech. I mean, there are no big tech firms down there. I think the biggest tech thing in Florida is the app they give you on a cruise ship, or the one that helps you around Disney World and Epcot Center. That's pretty much it. Is there gator tracking? Do you gator track? Is that a thing? It's got to be. I mean, if you can follow Mary the Shark on Twitter, you should be able to follow alligators, right?
State, we had our legislature override a Republican governor who had curfews and everything, all kinds of decisions he made relative to COVID.
You mean to try and save lives of people in Ohio? I mean, why would you? I mean, obviously you would fight that because you've been pro-opioid overdose.
State legislature overrode the governor's veto of a bill that now gives the legislature more authority and power in making these decisions, as it should be, as it should have been from the beginning. So that's where we really have to push back. States in our federalist system, in our 50-state system, they...
Cool. So, by the way, if you're within the sound of my voice and you live in a state where, you know, the state legislature is like 60-40 Republican, this is your time. Run for state legislature. It's not as expensive as running for, you know, rep or state, you know, for the Senate, you know, but running as a, you know, a state house or a state rep, you know, state senator, it's a good way to do it. You know, join the legislature. It's low rung as far as expenditure. And if you gotta, you know, if you're chatty like me, I say go for it, especially if you're in the Ohio area.
They have to, particularly the ones where we have complete Republican control.
Huh. So where you have complete Republican control, then your goal should be to completely control I see. It seems kind of like a power grab. I don't know. I feel like you've become your enemy.
We have to push back there. And then as individuals, we need to remember we still have the Constitution and those rights as apply to us as individuals. And
that's right. You do. So if you are denied proper voting opportunities, then you should sue your state.
We need to exercise and speak out against the cancel culture every chance we get.
Yeah, we should speak out against the cancel culture. And if that doesn't work, feel free to boycott, because conservative writers have told me this.
So what is your advice to leadership, right? So these corporations all sign these letters saying that they're not going to stand for these laws, which frankly make it easier to vote and harder to cheat because none of...
Is that what they do? Or does it make it so the state legislature can actually overturn the results of the election on a whim?
From read the bill. What are you guys doing when they come to engage with you guys? I mean, just in other words, all these big corporations.
How do you get money out of these guys if they're not going to give you these?
They're going to be coming up to the Hill, lobbying for whatever they want now. Yeah. What do you and your...
Yeah, you're going to stiff arm these corporate assholes. Yeah, tell them, Sean. Tell them that Jim Jordan's going to be there when these big corporations come down to Congress with their hand out or their hat in hand. He's going to spike it and tell them to piss off. Tell them how you're going to fight big corporations. If Amazon tries to open up a center in your district, yeah, Jim Jordan's going to tell them to go shit the bed.
Colleagues going to do in terms of interacting with them?
Sean, they're going to come talk to us and say, hey, by the way, even though we're doing all this left-wing stuff, even though we're speaking out against the good law that was passed in the Georgia, please don't let the Democrats raise our taxes. And we'll say, look, maybe we should say, you made your bed, now you got to lie in it.
Yeah, do that. And by the way, a lot of them aren't saying that. They're going, all right, it goes to 28. It was still lower than the 35 I was paying. Sweet.
I mean, we're for keeping the tax code in place that we passed a few years ago, the Trump tax cuts. And I'm all for that because I know it's good for the economy.
Aw, thanks, Joe Carter, for getting a Nerd Halen shirt. Yay! First Nerd Halen gig will be June 6th. Details to follow.
It's good for working class families, good for all Americans. But you know what? They're going to come to us at some point and say that too. So maybe we'll have to have a nice, friendly conversation when that time arrives.
I hope you do. I hope you do, because they take us for granted. They're like, I know you carried our water on all these important things on regulations and taxes, but we're going to go after you on all these other things and make up lies.
We're going to go after you on these things and make up lies. Corporations making up lies about politicians? Koch brothers who?
Lies about you. So I hope you really do, and I know you will lead that effort, no doubt.
Yeah, he's definitely going to do it as a representative from Ohio.
They need to remember that famous line, Republicans buy sneakers too. You
know? Wait, that was the bailout point? They need to remember... What was the famous line?
Lies about you. So I hope you really do, and I know you will lead that effort, no doubt.
And they need to remember that famous line, Republicans buy sneakers too. You know?
Yeah, but for a different purpose. Obviously, Democrats buy them to exercise and play sports, and Republicans buy them so that they can't be heard in the bushes outside a stewardess's window. or when they're sneaking around with a 17-year-old. Right, Matt? Hi, Matt. How are you? Yikes.